Hi guys, and welcome to episode 13 in season one of the podcast. I'm super excited that I have a special guest here. I have Samantha Laycock who has joined us today. She's going to talk to us all about blogging and sharing your story through writing. First of all, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming and sharing your expertise and dropping some gems that I know you're going to drop today. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So, can you tell, the listeners a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your business, what you're all about? Just kind of give us a rundown.
Yeah, so I am Samantha Laycock. I own Samantha Laycock Blogging, which has been kind of an accumulation throughout the years. So, blogging kind of, I say all of this kind of fell into my lap. So, in 2014, blogging was sold to me as doing an online journal. So, I had never done blogging before that. I had never even had the slightest interest in blogging, but I had always been a writer. And so I was at the point in my life where I really needed to focus on myself and change who I was because I was really deep in this just a depression that I didn't realize was a depression um, from trauma that I had experienced. So I was a sexual assault survivor. I didn't tell anybody. So the sexual assault happened in 2003. I had kept it a secret. My husband knew, but he was really the only one that knew, had any clue that it had happened. And in 2014, I was just to the point where it was like, okay, I either need to learn how to move forward or stay where I am. And I started blogging, and the first blog that I ever put out was sharing my story. I just said, this is what happened, and I didn't expect anybody to read it. I shared it to a local mom's Facebook group that I had just moved to. And all of a sudden, I just started getting messages like, thank you for sharing your story. Know that you're not alone. And just the outpouring of support that I received was phenomenal. And from there, it was like, okay, well, now what? And so I had started blogging and I wanted to show people the ins and outs of what it's like to be a survivor, right? What we actually go through when during that healing process, trying to find who we are. And so I started my self love journey on my blog for all to see. And I didn't actually start coaching. So I'm now an authentic expression coach, which means that I help women start their blog based on their story. So I help them create a blog based on their past, all the experiences that they have, all of the expertise that they don't even realize they have, and help them build a business around that, depending on what they want that to look like, because it's so different for every woman. Um, and teaching women to actually blog. So Samantha Laycock blogging wasn't actually born until January of 2020 when my friend who had been watching me since I had moved, so back in 2015, I think we met. And she was like, just host a blogging workshop because I want to learn more. So I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. And I had two women sign up, and it was an in-person event before COVID obviously took the world over. And when you are in like that perfect alignment and you're teaching something that you're so passionate about, you feel it. You just know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I walked away from that workshop with like, I need to do more of this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow.
And my friend, who is just amazing, was like, okay, you know what? How about you coach me how to do this? And so we did a weekend intensive where it was 2 8-hour days of her digging into her vision, her why, figuring out brand colors, niches. I mean, we did so much work in those 2 8-hour days that by the end of Sunday, she was able to hit publish on her own website. And watching someone transform from not thinking they can do something to, oh my gosh, it's actually here, is like the most amazing process. And from there, that's where I kind of developed my one-on-one group, my group coaching program, my one-on-one program. Now I have a mastermind. So it's really fun just to be able to watch that transformation, because especially women, we don't realize the power of our past and how much we actually know and can help others, because we're too afraid to show it.
Oh my gosh, you're right. You're right. I mean, being authentic is so important, when it comes to marketing your business online. And this is definitely something that I connect with, because this is something I talk to my audience about all the time. People buy from you because they connect with you, and people forget that within marketing, you have to make that connection. And if you're not making that connection, there's no real, your marketing is not effective. There's not real marketing going on. You think you're marketing, but you're really just, going through the motions of sharing, or, there, yeah.
Yeah.
So I totally connect with that. I love that. That focus on the content, and content is huge. It's so huge, so I love everything that you're talking about. And man, this is what so many online entrepreneurs need to hear.
Yeah.
And I talk to people all the time that, they're so excited to start. That's where they put their energy at, is in starting, not on creating a solid foundation for success.
Yes.
And so you're teaching people how to create that solid foundation through success, which is something that I do too. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's so important, especially with blogging, right? Because especially with people, like you said, people tend to jump in. Like, it's that excitement in the beginning, right? That you're like, I got this, I can do this, I can do this. And then all of a sudden it's, especially with blogging, you realize that there's so many moving pieces that if you don't have that foundation, if you don't have your vision, if you don't have your why figured out, you are going to burn out and you are going to want to walk away. You are going to get so overwhelmed and you're going to get stuck in that position of, I can't do this anymore, because you didn't think ahead and you didn't look forward and you didn't actually say, okay, why am I doing this? Because that really is the most important part. You need to know your why, because you're going to get stuck. You're going to have those writing blocks. You're going to have those blocks to monetize. Those are all going to come. We've all had it. There is no instances. There is no instant success, right? Because people make you want to think that there is, and there is not any instant success.
Oh my gosh. Yes. You're totally speaking my language. I mean, you're hitting all the things that I try to convey to people. So it's so nice to connect with someone who, you know, is seconding that.
Yeah.
And talking about the importance. And a lot of the things that were just saying, they, you were talking about them in terms of blogging, but they can definitely be spoken in terms of just general business, period.
Yep.
So yeah, like, people jump in and they're so excited, and I've kind of created my own term, and I call it the LaLa stage. You're in that LaLa stage where it's new and it's exciting, and you haven't hit any roadblocks yet, but that roadblock is coming, and when it comes, it's gonna stop you in your tracks, and then another one's gonna come, and another one, and another one.
Yeah, and it's not something you can prepare for. Most of the time, they come out of the blue, and you don't even realize it's right there.
Yes, and you don't realize what you need or what you don't have until you go through those roadblocks, until you encounter them.
Yeah.
So, man, I love this. I'm really connecting with this. I really am. I love when I meet people who speak the same language, and we don't have to do it in the same way, but we're speaking the same language,
Yeah.
which, further reiterates that what we're talking about is right, because me and you have never connected ever, before hopping on this
Yeah.
podcast, but we're speaking the same language and we teach the same things to
Yeah.
our audience. So I love it. I love it. I appreciate you. I really do. Um, so, tell us a little bit about who you serve. I know you said you work with women, tell us a little bit about the women you serve, so that if anybody's listening, they can self-identify to say,
Yeah.
hey, Samantha and I could be a good fit.
Yeah. I work with, it's funny because I think going into my business, I had this huge idea of who my ideal client was, and it was so off. Like all the
It
people
changed,
that,
didn't it?
yes, all the people that were attracted to me, I didn't even think of when I started my business. So mine really is the mature woman. So it's anyone that is anywhere from 38 to really like above 38, let's say, because I don't put an age limit on it. But it's that woman who is confident enough in herself and is ready to share her story. Because I think a lot of us held back, right? We play small, we hold it in, we don't share what happened to us. You don't have to have a traumatic past to have a story, right? Um, a lot of the clients that I do work with, they do have traumatic pasts. And I think it's just because I do, and they resonate with me being able to share my story, that it helps them say, you know what, I can do this because you've done it. Um, and so I love working with women who don't understand or know technology. I love being able to show them that creating their dream website and creating this blog and creating a community around their blog is possible. I love being able to say, here's how you can use social media to change the world. Here's how you're going to use your blog to build that community that's going to support you in your healing process, but you are also going to support them in their healing process. And I think it's so incredibly powerful because we don't realize that, and I this is what I learned throughout the years, that I thought that I was helping other women. And it was just the one-way street where I was sharing my story. They were getting the help they needed, listening to what I was going through. What I learned though is that it's a two-way street. By them sending me messages saying, you know what, you're not alone, you can do this, all of that support that they created around me helped me to continue my healing process. So I'm helping them heal while they're helping me heal. And I think that is the biggest power of storytelling, because we don't I mean, storytelling has been around forever, right? I mean, it's always
Right.
been around. And nowadays we are craving it more than ever because we are looking for that connection piece between us. We want to know, how are we connected with someone else? Someone else is going to have a similar journey, but their experience is going to be completely different. So they're going to have a different way that they can teach, a different way that they can step into their power and attract that community to them, which is, to me, is such an amazing opportunity. Because yeah, there are so many blogs out there, but no blog is the same, no experience is the same, nothing is the same,
Yeah.
and you get all these different pieces coming together. And really watch and help those women who know what their story is, they just don't know how to share it in the way that they are hoping for, or they don't even think that they can have a business based on their story, which is even more powerful. Because I've had clients that have started a blog just to share their story, but now they're coaching other women. Now they're creating journals and they're doing all of this stuff. And it all started because they decided to share what their experiences are or were, right? It's powerful.
100% powerful. I mean, man, and I love what you're talking about, because when I encourage my clients to think about their ideal customer, one of the things I encourage them to think about is what makes you unique. And a lot of people, whether you're selling a product or service, most of the time when I ask people this question, they think so surface level.
Yes.
And I'm like, stop it, because you're not thinking deep enough. And I have to point out that the main thing that someone is missing is that you are your ideal customer, or you have been your ideal customer. You've been in their shoes in some form or fashion. And that is part of what, connects people to
Yep.
you, right? Your ability to let them know, hey, I understand what you're going through because I've been there. Either I've transcended from it or I'm still in the midst of it, and we're going to grow together.
Yep.
So, yes, I love that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and I always tell my clients that it's you're not doing this for the people who are commenting on your social media, right? Because we all go back to the numbers. Oh my gosh, I don't have this many numbers, I don't have this many comments, I don't have this many views. But the thing is, you don't actually know how many people you're reaching. And I always remind my clients that you're not doing this for the people who are commenting, because the people who are commenting are in a part of their journey where they have a voice, right? Whereas you're doing this for that person who is reading everything that you are putting out there, your social media, your blog. I mean, they are literally everywhere you are. You have no idea they are there because they do not have the voice yet. And that is why they are watching you. You are helping them, teaching them how to gain their voice. And until they're ready, you are their support system. So you have no clue that they're even there, but they are watching you and they are learning from you and they are just absorbing everything that you are talking about because that's where they want to be, right? And another powerful thing is I say to my clients is I was you and you are me, right? Because I was exactly where you were. I get it. I understand the struggles that you're having. I understand the excuses that you're going to make. But you are also me because you are going to be able to get to the point where you can say, this is what happened to me, and I don't care what you think. This is my story. This is how I perceived it. This is how I felt during it, because you're going to have those haters. You're going to have people who, for some reason, think that they know better than you in your story. And you're going to get to the point where that's no longer going to matter. Their voices aren't going to knock you down like they used to. And they used to knock me down like crazy because I would believe what they had to say. And it wasn't until I was able to confidently look at myself in the mirror and say, it doesn't matter what they think anymore. It doesn't matter what they say. I know what I went through. I know how I felt, and that is all that matters. And I can teach through that process.
I love it. You found the confidence in your voice.
Yes, and
And
that's what I help people. And that's the thing, right? Is that I don't just teach blogging, and that's why I really struggled with coming up with what to call myself as a coach because I was just a blogging coach. But there's so much more than that. It's all of the stuff that is behind the scenes in blogging that matters. So now I have it where I've actually combined the self love, the self care, um, all of that confidence building, all of those daily activities that get you to the point where you can say, this is my story. I'm proud of how far I have come. I might not be perfect because none of us are, but that is okay. I am confident in my skin. I love who I am. And that's the difference. I don't just show you how to put words on a page because that's not what people want in a blog anymore. They want that connection piece because that's what it's all about. They want that healing, they want that growth. They want that personal flair, right? We want to know who it is behind that screen that is writing and that is talking to us and that is teaching us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And I love the continued emphasis on getting people to understand that there's so much more than what meets the eye than what they think, right? With blogging, with business, with having an offline business, an online business, whatever task it is that you undertake, there's so much more.
Mhm.
And so, you're really someone who's kind of helping them understand what that so much more is. Because if you're like me, that's one of the hardest parts of your job, is educating people on what that so much more is, because
Yes.
people have this very, you know, solid view of what they feel like starting a business is, and what all goes into starting a business, what all goes into running and growing a business. And we're limited to the length of our own minds, and we don't know what we know until someone, like you or I, comes and shows them another way, or another way of thinking. So yeah.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to blogging, right? Because people assume that you have to have this huge, oh man, I need like 500,000 views on my blog, or I need so many followers. It's not about that. If you are, especially if you're just starting, you're not going to have that following. You're going to build it up as you go. But you have to remember that the people who are there, even if you are getting two people to your website a day, that is still two people that are taking their time to read your content and to learn from you. And you need to appreciate the growth process, and you need to appreciate the people who are showing up for you right now.
Yes, they matter. They matter. This is, oh gosh, I call it an intimate audience. And
Yes.
intimate audiences matter because, like you said, it's someone who is showing up for you. Yes, you can monetize an intimate audience.
Yeah.
You don't have to, be an influencer and have this many, people in your audience, right? You can monetize intimate
Hmm.
audiences. So I love that. I love that. Okay, so Samantha, you got people all hyped up, telling them a little bit about what you do and how you can help. I would love for you to talk more about, the different programs you have, and what are the different ways people can work with you. Like, take them kind of through that process.
Yeah, so I have a couple different programs. I just have some short video courses on my blog, or on my websites, that you can go if you're just like, you know what, I don't really know what I'm looking for, because some people don't, right? And I also have an ebook that is called Write Your Story, and it really is the beginning point, because it walks people through how they can recognize what their story is and how to start laying that foundation down for the blog, so you can really take it to that next level, because you need that foundation. You can't just start. And I say that because that's what I did. I just started. I didn't have any support when I started blogging. I literally just started writing and put things out there. I didn't have that foundation, and I struggled. I struggled for years just trying to figure out where I fit, and so I want to help people understand that. Um, and then I do one-on-one coaching, so you can do either 6 month or 12 month one-on-one coaching, and I offer a 6 month group mastermind program as well, where it's super intimate. There's just 6 women in that program. I only run it twice a year. This year it'll probably only be the once. It starts in April. And we just go through, it gives us the 6 months, because now we really get to focus, and we get to focus on the healing parts. We get to focus on laying the foundation of blogging. I get to show you how to set up your website. I get to show you the SEO, how to write a blog post, create graphics, all your social media. We do that through all of my programs. The difference between the mastermind and the one-on-one coaching really is the amount of calls that you get with me one-on-one. So one-on-one coaching, you're literally getting a week, or a call a week, for either 6 or 12 months, whatever you choose. Whereas the mastermind, we do one weekly call as a group, and then you only have 2 private calls with me throughout that month. So you get 12 calls with me through the 6 months versus, what is that, 24? If I'm doing my math correctly,
Yes.
24 one-on-one calls with me in my one-on-one program.
Wow, cool, cool. So yeah, you definitely have a range of, services and ways that people can work with you, which is cool because I love to see people with product suites because it really helps meet people where they are. There's,
Mm-hmm.
always going to be people that have different budgets. So
Yeah.
it's definitely good to know that, a professional like you is not completely out of reach, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I love that. I love that. So now I really would love for you to share with, this audience of people who are listening anywhere from 3 to 5 tips, that they can, take and implement for their own blogging or writing with purpose,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. The first one is going to be, don't start with monetization. I do not teach beginner bloggers to monetize because people aren't looking to be sold to, especially as a beginner. They want you to build that trust, they want to build that connection. That doesn't mean that you can't have it in your vision and you can't have it in the road. Yes, have an idea, have a plan in place, but do not focus on monetization, because I know people will go to Pinterest and they will see, wow, this blogger made $10,000 in 30 days. That's awesome. Let me do that. It doesn't happen. It's very rare that that happens. And I said this on a different podcast, and this was another talk that we had. But I think when you think of it in that terms, you are discounting everything that you've done prior, because that person didn't just start. They have laid a foundation down before they made that amount, and they are taking away all of that work that they did before that 30 days. So
Absolutely.
do not think of it in terms of monetization. Okay, I think that is the number one important aspect. Tip number 2, start with your why, because your why is going to get you through those tough times. It is going to keep you motivated, because there have been times that I have wanted to walk away, because it can be, it's an emotional ride. I mean, being an entrepreneur is an emotional ride, right? And you're going to feel every emotion every single day. So being able to go back to why you started, and it's not just surface level. It is the deep, dark why. Why are you doing something? And have it written down, and have it somewhere in your work area that you can read it every day. Number 3 would be to create what I call your experience list. So if you're just kind of like, I don't have a story to tell, you're lying to yourself. I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to write down everything that you have ever gone through. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as having a baby. It can, well, that's not really simple, but we think of it in simple terms, right? Having a baby, getting married, starting to date, dating after divorce. I mean, literally write every experience down that you have had. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that experience list and you're going to be able to start writing down what did those experiences teach you? Because we don't realize the lessons that we have learned in those experiences while we're living through them. It's not until we can go back and we can look and be like, wow, you know what? I really learned this, this, and this from getting married. Or I really learned this when I moved to a different country, right? So you're going to have all of these different experiences. These are going to help you narrow down your niche. They're going to help show you what it is that you can teach and what you're an expert in. And they're also going to show you who your ideal client is, because it's going to help show you what experience you want to teach people. That's going to give you your ideal client. Okay. Tip number 4, let's go with ask friends, because I think a lot of times we don't realize what our strength is. We think that we are not an expert in something, because I've done this before where I'm just like, I don't know what I can teach someone. I don't have experience. I blah, 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 right? You just make excuses. And sometimes we can't see what we're good at because we don't realize we're good at it, right? Because we are stuck in that negative self-talk. We are stuck in the all the negatives that have surrounded us, that we don't see the good stuff. Ask a friend, or start looking as to what people are actually asking you, because you are going to realize that people come to you and ask you the same types of questions, right? So for me, it was, people always message me about blogging. Before I even started coaching it, I was getting messages, how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And I never clued in until my friend was like, why are you not doing this? Because we don't always see it. And sometimes we need that person in our life to say, hey, wake up. This is what you're good at. Start focusing on it. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in having people having people tell you what you're good at, right? Because I mean, throughout my
Absolutely.
entire self-love journey, I had to learn, relearn who I was, because I was in this spot in my life where people don't realize that when you suffer a trauma, that there's two people, right? That there's two versions of yourself, the version before the trauma and then the version after. And for me, I was always trying to reach that. I call her the original Samantha. I was always trying to get back to the original Samantha, not understanding that wasn't an option, because I could no longer be her because of what happened. That I had to go through and I had to relearn who I actually was, because I lost that other version. I couldn't go back. And so having those people in your life that say, this is what you're good at, that's okay, because that means they're your support system. And you need to have a support system when you are starting a blog, when you are starting a business, when you are, I mean, anything, right? You need to have a support system. And that doesn't mean you have to have 10 people. If you have one person that is going to be there for you, that's all you need. If you need someone to be that support system, reach out to me, because I will be your cheerleader and I will tell you that you got this, because that is what I needed. I needed someone to say, doesn't matter, just do it. Um, and then tip number 5, I'm going to say just start, because do not wait. It's never going to be perfect. Your website is always going to need to have something else. You're always going to feel like it's missing something. So just hit publish. You can fix your SEO as you go. You can learn and update your blog post as you go. You don't need to be an expert in everything blogging to start blogging. Start writing as you go. You will learn how to do it. You will learn how to format your blog posts. You will learn all about SEO in your blog posts. You will learn about how to start guest writing. Everything is a learning process. And if you say, nope, I'm going to wait until this happens, you're never going to do it. There's always going to be an excuse. So just start. If you have to start on a free website, start on a free website. It is just going to get you started, so you can practice and you can build up that muscle, because that's what it is. You need to build up that self-confidence muscle. You need to build up that writing muscle, the blogging muscle. You need to just do it.
Man, I love these tips. I love these tips. And um the one I connected with the most was definitely the ask friends one. Um I loved that piece about trauma, because you really cannot get back to who you were before. That, that is a whole nother podcast
Mm-hmm.
episode, but oh my gosh, you're 100% right, and people really do try to get back to who they were,
Yeah,
but yeah,
because we don't. nobody tells you that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not anything. People don't speak about that. People think that, hey, just heal. You'll get back to who you want to be. It's
Right.
it's not possible. And I fought for years trying to figure out how to get back to her, to only realize that she no longer existed. Right? She
Absolutely.
is there in my memories. She is there in my parents' memories. My kids are never going to know her. My husband is never going to know her. But that's okay because I'm now stronger than that before was anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You didn't know what you were missing then, but after the trauma happened, it gave you a whole new set of skills that you had to, kind of get out the mud. You had to
Yeah.
find
You had to
them, and
fight for.
yes, you had to put them in place.
Yep.
And because you did so much work, you reap the benefits.
Yeah.
So, man, I love that. I love all of your tips. And I really do appreciate you sharing, you know, more about what you do and how you help, and just emphasizing the importance of, sharing your story, being authentic, not being afraid to, show the not so perfect side of your life, because that's definitely something that a lot of online business people, because you see so many people that are like, well, I made, this many Ks and this much time, and just normalizing the fact that it doesn't happen that way, because it just really doesn't. you
Yeah.
know and if it does, like you said, it takes time, and effort, right? And you don't get
Yes.
that side of the story.
Yeah. And people connect with the messy parts of life, right? We don't
Absolutely.
connect by watching people go on vacation. We don't connect with seeing their perfect life. We connect in those pieces where they are falling apart. We connect in those pieces where they are showing their struggle. And I think that's why people are drawn to me, because that is what my social media is. I don't show my perfect life. I have been known to get on camera and start crying because people need to know that that's what healing looks like. That is the
Yeah.
it's not this magical beautiful experience. It is literally painful and hard and ugly, but the end process is what you're going for. It's not pretty during the process. It is pretty afterwards. It is pretty when you can look in the mirror and you can say, look at her. She fought to be here today, and that is why I love her. It has nothing else to do. It doesn't have to do with, you know what? Look at my pretty life. Look at my beautiful house. Look at my tropical vacation. I don't care about that. I don't connect with people like that. I want to see the dark sides. I want to know where you're struggling in your life, because then I know I'm not alone.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I love this. And I think you like almost inspired. I think you're inspiring me to start a blog.
I hope so.
I think you are, like, oh my gosh, some of the things that you said today have really connected with me, and just, reminds me, and hopefully it, lights a spark in the people who are listening, that you have a story to share. And so, man, I love this, and I really appreciate you coming on, not only for what you gave to them, but what you have left me with. You definitely left me with some things to think about. So,
Good. I love
man,
that. That's what I like doing.
yes, yes, yes. I love meeting people like that, who are just genuine, making connections and really helping people, just having a heart to help people. Cause
Hmm.
like you said, that's really what it's all about. The monetization comes after you find that passion and you really connect with it. So
Yeah.
love it, love it. Okay. So to wrap up, um, share your social media, share where people can find you. If you have a Facebook group, share your website, all
Yeah.
that jazz.
Perfect. So you can find me. My website is just my name. So SamanthaLaycock.com. You can find all my programs, my video courses, my blog is on there. You can find everything on there. You can find a bit more about my story on there as well. And then for Facebook and Instagram, you can find me at Samantha Laycock Blogging. And I also have a Facebook group called Becoming the Blogger Within as well. And then Pinterest is my only one that's kind of odd out. I tried to get my name the same everywhere, but of course, Pinterest was like, nope, doesn't happen. So you can find me at Pinterest as Samantha Laycock Blogger.
And I will link all of those down in the description below for those of you who are listening. Just you should be able to click and visit her profiles, her website, and her Facebook group. So thank you so much for coming on, for being, being the guru for this episode and dropping knowledge. Thank you for inspiring me, and thank you for inspiring those of us who have online businesses and really want to take our businesses to the next level. And thank you for inspiring us to be authentic, and to find our voice, and to find strength within our voice. It really does mean a lot. So
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Yes. So if you have gotten to this point in the podcast, I appreciate you as well, for all my listeners, because when I get on here and I interview people, it's significantly longer than any of my other podcast episodes because I talk and, I talk, and I like to bring on people who like to talk and share and drop knowledge nuggets. And so these are longer, but I believe that they're longer for a better good, because we're sharing so much information that can really help you grow your business. So thank you for tuning in to episode 13, and I will see you guys on the next episode.